Hi, hello, is anyone home? So I may or may not have had a sudden mysterious disappearance for a month. Yeah, my bad. So you remember when I said I was busy? Yeah. Yeah. Hey guys, how's it going? So, I've been very addicted to Deadlock recently, if you cannot already tell. I've been away from YouTube for a while, so I thought, what better way to combine the thing that I've been really into and getting back into YouTube, and make a guide. So, this guide is going to be for people who are just completely new to Deadlock. Not people who've played it for hundreds of hours and want something new to glean off of it. This guide is going to be for people who genuinely have not seen anything about the game and just want the basics. This isn't going to be a review of what every item does or expert strategies for different characters. It's literally just going to be showing you map structure, what all the characters do, and kind of the general flow of any given match, just so you can get into it. So this is your gateway drug for Deadlock. It is not an advanced guide, it is going to be a guide for idiots. So this is the type of guide that I would have wanted when I first started the game. So it's going to be very beginner friendly, and I'm going to try to explain things in terms that people who haven't played a MOBA will understand. Because Deadlock is my first MOBA, and hopefully the last. I'm not playing League or anything. I'm a hero shooter guy. That's the kind of game I mostly enjoy, and Deadlock fits that brand pretty well. But the MOBA aspect, really, it took a lot of time for me to adjust to it. So hopefully I can kind of speed that up, just explain what everything does, how everything works, and get you in the game faster. So without further ado, let's get into the first part of this video, which is just going to be explaining the map. Everything on the map, what it does, and how to interact with it. So let's get into that. Okay, in this first part of the video, I'm just going to go over everything in the map. That is the only thing we're going over. Well, I say the only thing, but there's actually a lot, so let me just break this down for you. So when you first start a game, you're going to be placed in one of two teams, the Hidden King or the Archmother. And you're going to be in your base, and they're going to throw you onto one of the 3 zip lines. These represent the different lanes. So there's 3 lanes: York, which is the yellow lane; Blue, which is Broadway, which is the blue lane; Greenwich, which is the green lane. The zipline will then take you to the beginning of the lane where your Guardian is. Now, the Guardian is very important. This is the first objective that needs to be taken out on either side. So you need to try your best to defend your Guardian while trading damage with the other people in the lane. So each lane will have 2 people on each side. 6 players, so 2 people a lane per side. Now, your job is to trade damage with the other people here while killing the troopers. The troopers are probably the most important objective to get money in this game. Actually, they just are. The most amount of money that you can get in this game is from the troopers. So the way that these troopers work is that they try to push towards the nearest objective, and they always push down the lane. They don't deviate from the road or the line on the lane that pushes them to the different objectives. So the first objective they need to take out is the Guardian. Once they take out the Guardian, they will then move over to the Walker, which is the second objective. These are very important. Each time a Walker is taken out, you gain another extra item slot. So these are really important in the mid to late game to get more items. And then the troopers will keep on going down the lane until they get to the base Guardians, which are the 2 statues on all 3 entrances of your base. Once these are destroyed, then the troopers can push further and they will start to attack shrines. Now, all these things I'm mentioning are things that the player can attack too. I'm just saying these are where the troopers will go. So then they will attack the shrines, and once the shrines are finally destroyed, you can attack the patron. The patron has 2 stages of health. So for the first one, obviously you just shoot it down until it gets to half health. It gets in invulnerable state where it cannot be attacked, and then it releases a wave that curses people in the inside, basically just disabling abilities and stamina. I believe it halves respawn times for the enemy team. So once you get the patron down to half health, you kind of just need to leave. And then you can come back, destroy the last bit of health, and the patron dies. If you do not destroy the shrines, though, the patron will heal. The shrines on either side of the patron, there's 2 of them, heal the patron. So it's important to destroy those first. Yo, Midnight Editing wrote in, that is just not true. The shrines do not heal the patron. You can't attack the patron at all if the shrines aren't destroyed. The patron will heal over time if there's nobody around it shooting it. Hope that clears things up. So now I just explained what the troopers do and which objectives are going to be pushed. Now let's actually talk about what these objectives do in depth. So the troopers, some have guns, some have melee items. Either way, especially in the early laning phase, so about the first 5 to 10 minutes, you want to minimize the amount of damage that you're actually taking from these troopers. Really staying behind cover and dodging and using stamina to get away from them is very important, because you really want to ration out the amount of health you have so you don't have to go back to the zipline to get back to base to heal, or just be out of the fight in general. Now, the troopers, when you kill them, will drop a soul orb on the ground that is worth 50% of its souls, and another one will float into the air that you can shoot to confirm it. The enemy can shoot it to deny it. Now, souls are the monetary system in this game. Just think of souls as money. 50% falls on the floor, 50% floats up to the sky, and you can shoot it a few times until it cracks or pops, and that will confirm the other 50%. If the enemy denies it, they steal half the bounty for that trooper, so you do need to be careful to confirm your souls and deny enemy souls when they kill your troopers. Now, what these souls are actually used for is the item shop. In the item shop, there's 3 different categories that you can buy. There's gun items, vitality items, and spirit items. Each has 4 tiers. For the first tier, every item will cost 800 souls. For the second tier, every item will cost 1600 souls. For the third tier, 3200 souls. And for the fourth tier, 6400. Certain items can be upgraded. So say I buy the item Extra Spirit. That is an 800 soul item, and the tier 2 Improved Spirit is 1600. Now, since I already spent 800 souls on the item, the second path to it is going to be half off, because I already spent 800. If it's 1600, it's half, it's 800. So I can buy Improved Spirit for 1600. That means Boundless Spirit is going to be 4800, because I already put 1600 into Improved Spirit. So each of these items can upgrade. Now, each of the categories has what we call spikes. There's a 4.8k spike, which gives you the largest amount of investment in that category. So the more souls that you put into any given category, weapon, vitality, or spirit, the more powerful buffs that you're going to get on the side of the effect that you get the item that you bought. So say I put 4.8k souls into my spirit investment. That means I'm going to get a bigger boost of spirit power than if I put in 3.2k. It's a larger jump. Now, each of the categories can have up to 28.8k worth of investment before it stops actually giving you any more extra buffs, basically. Now that we're done talking about the troopers, where they go, and the shop, and what kind of items you can buy. And by the way, spirit, gun, and vitality. So gun is pretty straightforward. Gun is just the weapon that you shoot with, and certain abilities. So certain punch abilities, hook abilities can count as melee damage. That's why it's really important to actually read through what all the abilities do. The second is vitality. That's just the amount of health your character has. And third is spirit, which is just your abilities. That kind of confused me at first. I was like, what the heck is spirit? But spirit is abilities. Just think of it as that. But now that we've talked about those, let's talk about the guardians and what they can do. Now, the guardians are the first tower that you need to push. So guardians start with 5,500 health. They have a fire staff that does around 100 damage a second to you, and they resist 25% of player damage. I hope this is actually correct and up to date. If it's not, somebody can kill me. All you need to know is that in the beginning of the game, around 5 to 6 minutes, you're going to want to start poking damage at the enemy Guardian. It's very important to start getting the enemy Guardian down, and you kind of want it down before 15 minutes, before the mid-game starts. Because if you don't have your Guardian down, your troopers aren't going to be able to push up. And it's just going to be a real problem if you can't get the enemy Guardian down, because then you can't push their Walker and get your extra item slot, and then your troopers aren't going to be able to get to their base Guardians and eventually the Patron, blah, 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 so forth and so on. You want to take out the Guardian pretty early. The Walker is this giant, like, statue quadruped thing. I don't even know how to describe it. It also shoots a laser at you and flings lava onto the ground, and if you get too close, it will stomp and stun you. So do not get too close to the Walker. Shoot it at a distance most of the time. Now, the Walkers have considerably more health. I believe they have... This here says that they have 6,000 health. They have more resistances than the Guardian. I don't know how much, because whatever website I'm reading is not listing it for some reason. So that's just kind of unfortunate, I guess. But yeah, you take this out, and you get an extra item slot, and the troopers push out more. And then the 2 base Guardians, which have, I guess, 12,000 health. I don't know how true that is. This could be outdated. This game updates constantly, unfortunately, so a lot of these numbers could be wrong. I'm hoping they're right. But just know each one has more health than the last. And for some reason, I can't find any details on how much health the shrines have, but I believe they have as much, if not more health than the base Guardians, but I could be wrong about that too, so don't quote me. The next objective are the tier 1 camps. So these spawn at 2 minutes, along with a bunch of boxes and golden statues along the map. So the tier 1 camps give around 46 souls per minion. There's 3 per camp, so it's about 150-ish. Almost 150, I mean. And these spawn at 2 minutes, like I said, and they're pretty important. Kind of just do this in between waves. You never want to leave a wave to go do a camp unless, you know, you have one teammate on it. It's really important to kind of have wave as priority. And wave actually, so the troopers, we call them wave, like a wave of troopers, they will roughly every 25 to 30 seconds drop down and push. So in that 25 to 30 seconds after you kill the wave, you can go run around and hit boxes, which drop souls, and hit golden statues, which drop permanent buffs, very tiny ones. There'll be things like plus 3% ammo, plus 5% weapon damage, plus 0.75% less cooldowns. Like they're really tiny, but they do add up. So it's really important that in between you getting wave, that you run around, go do boxes, and go destroy camps. Now for the camps, there's 3 tiers. There's tier 1, which gives a tiny amount of souls and they have less health. There's tier 2, which have a little bit more souls and more health and more damage. Then there's tier 3 minions that have obviously more damage, more health, but drop more souls. Then there is the tier 3 camps that spawn at 8 minutes, the tier 2 camps at 5, and the tier 1 at 2. At 8 minutes, the Sinner's Sacrifice also spawns. So this is basically a vending machine that gives you a moderate amount of souls. You heavy melee it 4 times. The 5th time, you can heavy melee it again once the lights reach the end, and it will give you souls and permanent buffs. If you do not heavy melee, time your heavy melee with the little lights at the top reaching the end, you will not get permanent buffs. So the way I like to do it is stand as close as I can to it. When the second light is hit, like the second to last light is hit, then you have a melee, and it almost always gives you the buffs, I'm pretty sure, if you do it like that. Now, the next objective on the map is the urn. So at the moment, the rendition of the urn we have, this one changes a lot for some reason. The developers can't really figure out how they want it to work. Basically, it's a soul urn, so it has money in it, and you have it, or you light melee it, and then run it to the other side of the map, and drop it off, and souls will go into the air. You can confirm them if you want, or you can just leave them if there's nobody around. If there's enemies around, then you're going to want to try to confirm them. If there's no enemies around, you can just let them float and they'll confirm themselves. Now, the next objective, which is a new one, and I don't know if it's going to be in the game for that long, is the Fragmented Rift, or Unstable Rift, actually. And it spawns in one of 2 random lanes, I believe, green or yellow. I don't think it spawns in mid. And At the unstable rift, you can capture it like a King of the Hill kind of control point. So think TF2 King of the Hill. You can have up to 6 people in there, obviously, and that will get the capture rate to go faster the more people you have in that point. So it's important to send like 2 or 3 people over there if you have the resources for it. And once you win, so once you confirm and capture that point, you will get amount of souls split between your team and a black wave of troopers that will push down, that has more health, does more damage, they're slightly larger. So this is a really good neutral objective to do when you kind of have free teammates, or you have a kind of numbers lead. Say you killed 1 or 2 of their teammates and your whole team's alive, you could send a few to go push the rift, and they can help you take out an objective. Now, another thing on the map that spawns semi-frequently, being every 5 minutes, are the bridge buffs. There are 4 different kinds: casting, gun, survival, and movement. You can heavy melee them to receive the buffs, and they will give you buffs to your abilities, your movement, speed, and the amount of dashes you have, your gun, and the amount of health and regen you have. So each of them do a different thing. Different characters might want the buffs more than other characters would. So it's kind of important to communicate with your team. If nobody's going to pick up the buff, you should go pick it up yourself, because it's better that you have the buff on a character that doesn't need it that much than the enemy getting it, of course, and using it against you. The next very important objective on the map is mid-boss. So mid-boss is this giant green one-eyed alien monster. The only thing that you need to know about mid-boss is that it spawns right when the game starts, and you can come down here and kill it to receive something called the Rejuvenator. Now, the Rejuvenator is really important to push certain enemy objectives if they're putting up a really hard defense, basically. So you can come down, kill the mid-boss with your team, heavy melee the Rejuvenator 3 times, and what the Rejuvenator does is basically give you a second life. So it gets 3 charges across your entire team, and anytime anybody on your team dies, they immediately come back to life, and one of the charges is spent. So this is really good. You basically, if you have 6 people on your team that are alive, you get the Rejuvenator, it's like having 9 people alive. So very good for pushing really difficult to attack enemy objectives. Now that we've went over every objective, now let me explain to you the kind of flow of the average game. So say I come out in blue lane, I'm going to get dropped over by my Guardian. I'm going to have a 5 to 10 minute laning phase where I'm kind of exchanging kills, trying to confirm as many souls from the troopers as I can. When the waves aren't pushing and I have a bit of a break, I'll go around, collect boxes, maybe take out a tier 1 or tier 2 camp, collect golden urns or golden statues, maybe run the urn, get a bridge buff, do center sacrifices, all little ways to get more souls or more power. And then I'm going to take out their Guardian. And then after I take out their Guardian, we're going to take out their Walker. After the Walker, I might go do mid-boss with my team to get the Rejuvenator and then take out their base Guardians. And then after I take out their base Guardians, our team is going to gather up, take out their shrines, and after the shrine, we'll take out the patron. Maybe we'll leave and go do mid-boss again, or the fragmented rift to get more souls. Then we'll come back, and we'll destroy the second half of the patron to win the game. Of course, this is like, I'm explaining a best-case scenario game where you just steamroll them. Of course, there's going to be a lot of back and forth. You're going to have to defend certain objectives at different times. You're going to have to really communicate with your team. Communicating with your team is the most important thing in this game. If you have bad team communication, you probably will lose. It's almost guaranteed that you will lose if your team communication is bad. Definitely communicate with your team. There are, I believe it's the mouse wheel being clicked in, little presets so you can tell people when you're heading to a certain lane. You can tell them when you're on your way, if you need help, if you need to heal, if you need to retreat, if you're leaving the area. Always tell people what lane you're heading to when you're leaving the area. Like, this is actually genuinely important. This isn't just like a suggestion. So that is every single objective on the map, how to make money, and kind of an explanation of the flow of a game. One thing that's really important is that you need to be active constantly. Being active constantly is very important. You always need to be doing something, be it farming, getting kills, ganking, which is going to somebody else's lane to help out and maybe get a kill for them if they're struggling. Or usually you would do that if the lane is going good, so it's like a 3v2, and, you know, it's easier to get a kill when the enemy is pretty shite at the game. Not like, if somebody's struggling on a lane, you probably wouldn't go gank that lane, you would gank a winning lane, because it's easier. But yeah, it's always important to be doing something, and that's usually getting souls or killing other teammates, and pushing your wave up to find a good time to take out their objectives. And by the way, the objectives take way more damage if there are troopers by them. So pushing up your wave of troopers to that objective is very important. Now, I'm not going to explain items too in depth in this video because it is this whole system that I don't think I'm qualified enough to explain yet. Just know that following a build is probably something you're going to want to do. I wouldn't suggest making your own build, and I wouldn't suggest buying at random. Just go in there, look at the kind of builds there are, and just pick the most popular one. Don't pick a track lock build. These are like AI generated builds. It says like tracklock.gg, 50% win rate. It just takes the most used items for that specific character and then throws them into a build. It's actually shit. Don't even try it. Just use one of the popular like top 5 or 10 builds and you should be fine. Most of them kind of explain what all the items do. Those are the good builds. Pick those ones and try your best to learn what the items do. I'm not even at a point yet where I know what everything does, and I've been playing for 150-ish hours, so I'm still brand new at this game. I'm just kind of explaining the basics of everything. But yes, now that I explained the kind of general flow of the game, we're going to get into the second part of this video, which is the characters and what they do. For this next section of the video, I'm going to go through and explain every single character in the game. I'm going to go through their guns and all of their abilities, so you can kind of see how everyone works, and then by the end of it, maybe pick one that you want to play. I would suggest, honestly, just picking the one that you find the coolest looking, because you're going to suck with all of them at first. Anyway, let's get right into it. The first character is Abrams. Siphon Life is the first one. It drains health from nearby enemies and deals spirit damage. He has Shoulder Charge, which is his second ability, which pulls enemies towards you and pushes them into a wall, which applies a stun. His third ability is Infernal Resilience, which gives him temporary regeneration after taking damage, and buffs his health with each upgrade. His fourth ability, which is his ultimate, Seismic Impact, where he leaps high into the air, crashes down into the ground, and does a stun, and tons of spirit damage. The second character, Apollo, is a finesse character with lots of mobility. He has 4 abilities, first being Disengaging Sigil, where you draw a sigil in front of you, leap backwards, and it explodes, does damage, and allows you to escape, and slows enemies who are hit by it. His second ability, Riposte, which deflects an attack, and you can choose to deflect the attack and then charge towards that person, stunning them, and becoming invulnerable for a second. The next ability is Flawless Advance, which allows you to charge forward with your sword doing spirit damage, and can be recast 3 times. The fourth ability, which is his ultimate, Itani Losan, is basically a giant sword charge that makes you invulnerable for the entire duration and does tons of damage on a delay to the enemies. The third character, Bebop, has a hook, bomb, and punches. He has an exploding uppercut, which does melee damage and a bit of spirit damage, and reduces their fire rate. The second ability is Sticky Bomb, which is just a sticky bomb. I don't think I really have to explain that. His third ability is a hook, or grapple arm, which pulls people in. You can combo it with the first ability and the second ability to chain a bunch of damage. His fourth ability is Hyper Beam, which is basically just a hyper beam. It's just a big laser. I don't think I really need to explain that one either. The fourth character is Billy. He's a go melee focused character. His first ability is Bash Down, does a bunch of melee damage and pulls enemies closer. His second ability, Rising Ram, which is mostly a mobility ability, but you can charge into people and do a bit of damage as well. His third ability is Blasted, which gives you a passive of restoring ammo every time that you do a melee hit. And also, the active, when it's actually activated, bullets are amplified against wrecked enemies and gives you max health and, I believe, more melee damage? I could be wrong. It's kind of complicated. The fourth ability is Chain Gain, which chains enemies to you, and if they break sight, they can leave, but if they don't, it pulls them towards you and does a bunch of spirit damage. The 5th character is Calico. She's kind of an assassin character that does a lot of burst damage. Her first ability is Gloom Bombs, which throws a bunch of exploding sticky bombs that do spirit damage. Her second ability is Leaping Slash, which does melee damage, heals you a bit. The third ability is Ava, which is her cat. You can possess the cat and walk around the map a little bit faster. You are also invisible on the minimap, and if you are in the cat form long enough, you can gain a bit of extra damage and health regen. And the cat can also go into the tunnels. The 4th ability is Return to Shadows, which instantly turns you to shadows, and you become untargetable, gain bonus movement speed, and do spirit damage when you enter it and exit. The 5th character is Celeste. She is a disruptor character, basically just meant to move around really fast and do tons of damage. Her first ability is Light Eater, which does a bunch of spirit damage in a cone. Her second ability is Dazzling Trick, which gives you a protective shield and silences people when it's destroyed. The third ability is Radiant Daggers, which is basically just a big circle of spirit damage that rains from the sky. And her fourth ability is Shining Wonder, which is a ball that you launch at people, and it bounces back and forth and does spirit damage. The next character is the Doorman. He is more of a support-oriented hero that's focused on stunning and kind of getting people where he wants them. His first ability is Call Bell, which does spirit damage and causes a bit of a slow to the enemy. The second ability is Doorway, basically just the portal gun. The third ability is Luggage Cart, which can be cast to knock somebody into a wall. It can also be cast on friendly heroes or even yourself if you throw it through a door and happen to be in front of the door. It's very complicated, but it can work. Just imagine Portal, but you're walking through both portals, or like you shoot one on the wall and one on the floor, and you fall really fast through it. It's basically that. The fourth ability, which is his ultimate, is Hotel Guest. This one's kind of complicated. Basically, you stun somebody and you send them to a parkour area, and if they get out of the parkour area on time, they take less damage, but if they don't get out in time, they take more damage. The next character is Drifter. He is an assassin type who does pretty high spirit and gun damage. His first ability is Rend. You swipe at enemies in a cone ahead of you, dealing spirit damage, and if the enemy is close to you, you do bonus melee damage. The second ability is Stalker's Mark. You send out a mark that makes the target bleed, doing spirit damage over time, and then you can teleport to them to appear behind their back. His third ability is Blood Scent. Isolated heroes can leave a trail as they move, and you can hear their heartbeat, which is kind of creepy. You deal amplified damage against these isolated heroes, and when you kill an isolated hero, you gain permanent weapon damage. His fourth ability, his ultimate, is Eternal Night. You surround nearby enemy heroes in darkness, limiting their vision, and it also makes you go way faster. The next character is Dynamo. His first ability is Kinetic Pulse, releases a wave of energy that does spirit damage and applies knockup. His second ability is Quantum Entanglement, basically a teleportation ability that moves pretty slow, so it gives you time to basically dodge enemy stuns and the like, and you can also bring allies with you during the duration. His third ability is Rejuvenating Aura. It basically is just a healing aura. His fourth ability is Singularity, which is basically just a black hole that brings enemies in and does a ton of damage per second. Probably one of the most overpowered ults in the entire game, by the way, so be careful when you use this one. It also has a very long cooldown. Next character is Graves. Her first ability is Jar of the Dead. You collect death when anything dies nearby, and you store it in your Jar of the Dead, and the active is to throw the Jar of Deadheads, which are these skulls that do spirit damage and attack enemies. They have homing, basically, so it's just... this character's OP. Very stupid. Her second ability is Grasping Hands, which is basically this line of area that has a ghoul come out of it, and the ghoul goes and attacks people, and if anybody walks over it, they receive spirit damage and are also stunned. Actually immobilized, they can't move at all. Her third ability is Essence Theft. This is a passive ability, and basically, your weapon steals maximum weapon damage and spirit resist over time, up to a maximum amount of stack, while attacking somebody. So the more you attack somebody, the more weapon damage you get stolen, and the more spirit resist that you steal from the enemy. And her fourth ability, her ult, is Borrowed Decree. It's basically a big tombstone that has a bunch of zombies come up from it. Ghouls, the same ones that are summoned from her grasping hands. And they will target people and explode. Next character is Grey Talon. His first ability is Charge Shot. Basically just charges his bow and arrow and does a big burst of damage. His second ability is Rain of Arrows. You fly up into the air, get increased weapon damage, and gain multi-shot. His third ability is Spirit Snare. It's a trap that you throw onto the ground that curses and applies a movement slow that also prevents item usage and stamina usage. His fourth ability is Guided Owl, which is a spirit owl that does a crap ton of damage and stuns somebody. Every time you kill somebody with the owl, you get permanent spirit power, which basically just makes all of your spirit abilities do more damage. Next is Haze. Her first ability is Sleep Dagger. You throw a dagger that sleeps somebody, and upon them taking damage, they will wake up. So sleep without you interrupting it will last about 2.5 seconds. Next ability is Smoke Bomb. Basically just makes you invisible, and it takes about 1.5 seconds to make you invisible and lasts for around 8 seconds. Her next ability is Fixation. The more you shoot a target, the more stacks they get, and the more stacks they get, the more damage that you do to that target. And her ultimate is Bullet Dance. You have a little cone in front of you that basically just does a shit ton of damage. Next up is Holiday. Her first ability is Powder Keg. You throw a barrel in front of you that does spirit damage and knock up. It can be shot or meleeed or detonated by another barrel. Her next ability is Bounce Pad. Basically self-explanatory. You bounce up into the air, but if you land on people, you also do spirit damage. Her third ability is Crack Shot. Headshots deal bonus damage, on cooldown of course, and a fading moving speed penalty. So it's like a slow, basically. And her ultimate is Spirit Lasso. You throw out a lasso in front of you, dealing spirit damage, and it also pulls the enemy towards them and stuns them so they can't do anything. And you can take them wherever you want. You can hook them, bring them under a walker, hook them into friggin' dynamo or something. Very helpful for getting people where you want them to be, or taking somebody out of a fight. Next up is Infernus. His first ability is Napalm. You throw basically just a blob of fire in front of you that does spirit damage and slows people. His next ability is Flame Dash. You are able to dash forward, getting a slow resistance and leaving a trail that does spirit damage over time. You can also hold W to dash further and go faster. His third ability is a passive, which is called Afterburn. Basically, the more that you shoot somebody with your primary weapon, the more spirit damage that will build up over time. It's Afterburn. It's self-explanatory. And his ultimate is Concussive Combustion. You turn into a bomb and do a shit ton of spirit damage and stun somebody for about a second. And that can, of course, be upgraded. It's also uninterruptible, so if you get stunned, it's still going to go off. If you get silenced, it's still going to get off. Guaranteed to go off, which is very helpful. Next up is Ivy. Her first ability is Entangling Thorns. You throw out a patch of choking thorns that damage people over time and slows enemies in the radius. Very good for clearing farms. Next ability is Kudzu Connection. You basically get this vine that connects to a teammate, and both of you gain bonuses and something called Replicated Healing. I actually don't know what that means. I'm assuming that you hook up to a dynamo who's using his rejuvenating aura, you'll heal the same amount with it. I don't actually know how that works. Somebody please tell me. I'm just horrible at this game. I'm just horrible at this game, and I don't understand what some of these abilities do. Next ability is Stone Form. You turn impervious and into stone, and you fall on the ground and stun and do damage to anybody in the radius. It also heals you for a percentage of your max health. Her ultimate is Airdrop. You can grab an ally, take flight, and then drop them, and it deals spirit damage to any enemy around. And this is also really good for getting somebody or yourself to the other side of the map if you need to very, very quickly. Next character is Kelvin. His first ability is Frost Grenade. It does spirit damage, but also heals allies that are caught in the radius and does a move speed reduction. His next ability is Ice Path. Basically just Frozone. Just think of Frozone, it's basically that. No other way to explain it. He also gains a slow resist during the duration. And enemies can also walk on the trail too, so be careful of that. His next ability is Arctic Beam. Basically a DPS ability that reduces movement and fire rate the longer you sustain the beam on them. You also have yourself reduce move speed while using the beam. The next ability is Frozen Shelter. basically make a big snow globe ice dome where everybody who's on your team inside gets rapid regeneration and enemies inside are slowed. Next up is Lady Geis. Her first ability is Essence Bomb. You sacrifice some of your health to launch a spirit damage bomb that has a small radius that you can dodge, and it also costs about 30% of your health. Second ability is Life Drain. You create a tether on the enemy hero, and you can suck the health out of them. You can also sacrifice some of your health for your allies, which is pretty nice. You basically are a healer. Her third ability is Malice. You sacrifice some of your health to launch a blood shard at the enemy, and it also slows them and it increases the damage that they take from you. Her fourth ability is Soul Exchange, and this one's really overpowered. You can swap the health value of you and the enemy, so you can get yourself really low, go farm some creeps or something, get down to 30% health, which is the minimum amount of health that you could swap, basically. So you can get yourself really low, start your exchange with the enemy, swap your health, preferably this is a healthy hero, and you can basically just have a super unfair fight. Very overpowered ability. Next character is the Lash. His first ability is Ground Strike. It's a spirit damage ability that does about 60 damage, about 5 meters in front of you, and you can jump down from the air, do a bunch of damage, and I believe it knocks people up a bit. And the higher you are in the air, you can do more damage, basically, so you want to get up high. Second ability is Grapple. You pull yourself through the air toward a target. I believe this can be an enemy or an ally. And it also resets your jumps, your air jumps and dashes, so you can get a ton of mobility. Third ability is Flog. You strike an enemy, and you heal, and do a bit of damage. That's pretty much it. Fourth ability is Death Slam. You jump up into the air, you focus on the people that you want to tether, basically, and then throw them down onto the ground. If you don't focus on them long enough, they won't be grabbed into the ability, so you need to have line of sight for this to work. And then you can throw them into a Guardian or a Walker or into your entire team, and they'll be stunned for about a second, I believe. So it's actually very overpowered. Very good ult. Next character is McGinnis. First ability is Mini Turret. Basically throws a turret, think Tealborn from Overwatch or like a level 1 Sentry from TF2. Has a little bit of health and a little bit of DPS. And if the enemy destroys it, they do get a small bit of souls, so just keep that in mind. The next ability she has is Medicinal Spectre. You basically just have like a little healing orb that you can stand in and get a bit of health regen. It's pretty good. Next ability is Spectral Wall. She can throw out a wall, and if you time it correctly, you can stop it and do a bit of damage to anybody who's near it. And the wall can be heavy meleeed by the enemies to be broken, so just keep that in mind. And her ult is Heavy Barrage. Basically, she just shoots a bunch of missiles from her back. You can still move around and use stamina, but you are slowed, so you do need to be a decent bit away from the enemy so they can't catch you and start beating the shit out of you. The next character is Mina. Her first ability is Rake. It's a slash ability that does spirit damage, and you receive a heal for every target killed. And also, the amount of damage increases with the amount of health that's missing from the enemy. Her second ability is Sanguine Retreat. You can basically do a teleport similar to what Dynamo has, except you get 2 charges, I believe. Her third ability is Love Bites. Your bullets apply additional spirit damage, and once that builds up, it'll proc and do a big burst of spirit damage. And then every bit that you get, every time that procs activates, you get more bats for your ultimate, Nox Nostra. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but basically you do a swarm of bats that home towards the enemies, do a ton of damage. This is one of the best ults. And also silences them so they can't dash away, and they are also slowed. So very good for basically singling somebody out that you don't want to escape. The next character is Mirage. First ability is Fire Scarabs. You infest an enemy with Fire Scarabs, and you steal life from them. I think it basically heals you. And they also deal reduced damage towards you. Or in general, actually. Second ability is Dust Devil. You turn yourself into a tornado, dash forward, and lift people up in the air in front of you. You also get bullet evasion during the tornado, so you can't take any bullet damage, which is really nice. Third ability is Jin's Mark. Your shots apply a Jin's Mark to the target. It deals spirit damage, and the more marks they have, the more damage that they take at the end of the ability. And there's also an active for this where you can consume all the Jin marks now to deal its damage immediately. So this ability is one of the most complicated abilities in the game, in my opinion. And his ultimate, which I believe is busted, and I don't know why more people don't play Mirage, is where you can teleport to anywhere on the map just by clicking on the mini-map. It's disgusting. And for its max, you get a minus 80-second cooldown. It starts at 120, so it's genuinely a 40-second wait to teleport anywhere. Less than a minute to teleport anywhere on the map. Very busted. So you can be anywhere you want to at any time. It's very good. Next character is Moen Krill. His first ability is Scorn. You deal damage to enemies in front of you and heal yourself based on the damage done. Second ability is Burrow. Think Chomper from Garden Warfare. You go underground, and then when you come up, you deal spirit damage. Kind of like a DPS ability, so the more spirit you have, the more damage you're going to get. You also displace anybody that you hit, so it's like a mini stun. Sandblast, you spray sand in front of your enemy. It disarms them and deals a bit of damage. For his ultimate, it's Combo. You hold the target in place, stun them, and then deal more DPS damage. If they die within 3 seconds of the combo ending, you permanently gain max health. Next character is Paige. Her first ability is Bookworm. You summon a flying dragon that flies in front of you, dealing spirit damage and leaves a trail, kind of like Furnace, which also does damage per second. Second ability is Plot Armor. You can grant an ally or yourself a barrier, and while they have the barrier, you get, like, obviously protected. It acts as health, and you get bonus weapon damage. Third ability is Captivating Reed. You target an area with a little sword thing that applies a slow, and then when the sword comes down, it does a burst of spirit damage and also immobilizes the target for around a second, and I believe if you upgrade it, you get another second of immobilization. So very good ability, kind of hard to target once you're in a higher rank lobby, because people can just dodge it. Next ability, her ultimate, Rallying Charge. You release a wave of spectral knights that heal allies if it hits them and does spirit damage to enemies. So you can genuinely throw this across the map if you know exactly where your team is and heal them, or if you know where the enemies are, you can stun them for about a second, and it deals a crap ton of damage too. Very good for any team fights. Next character is Paradox. Her first ability is Pulse Grenade. You throw a pulsing grenade that deals spirit damage, and each pulse, it does more damage. Next ability is Time Wall. Basically a time warping wall that stops time for all enemy projectiles and bullets, but your bullets or any friendly bullets increase in speed and damage, so that's very nice. And then if any enemy walks through the shield, the time wall, they're slowed and silenced. This actually combines with the ult, so I'll get there in a second. Next ability is Kinetic Carbine. You get a powerful one-shot spirit damage ability, but when it's charging, or when it finishes charging, I should say, you get increased movement speed. And if you jump in the air and hold right mouse, or whatever you have it bounded to, you can get time slow. So you float down slower. It's really good for jumping up in the air, slowing down to aim it quickly, so you can actually kind of hit your target easier. And her fourth ability is Paradoxical Swap. This is the one that combines with the shield. You can place down your time wall, then swap somebody through it. So how it works is you launch it at them, and then both of you swap positions, and then it deals a bit of damage. So it's all of her abilities combine really well. You can throw a pulse grenade onto the ground, hit him with the carbine, throw down a time wall, and then swap him through it to do a ton of damage. Very good character. Very brainy character. I really like Paradox. Next character is Pocket. His first ability is Barrage. You channel out 4 projectiles that do spirit damage and do increased damage that stacks, I believe, with every hero hit throughout the duration of the ability. So the more of these that you hit, the more damage the next one's going to do. The second ability is Flying Cloak. You throw a cloak in front of you that you can also teleport to, and it does a bit of damage. Third ability is Enchanter's Satchel. You go into Pocket's suitcase and become intangible. You can't take any damage, and it lasts for around a second and a half. And then when you come out, it does damage. You can end it early to do a quick burst of damage as well. Fourth ability is Affliction. It applies damage over time in a radius. Very good ability. If you max it out, it prevents all healing. You really want to max out his ult. It's really good. Next character is Rem. First ability is Pillow Toss. It just does spirit damage and knockback, and landing it also reduces the cooldown of all your other abilities. Really want to get a few spirit items to max out the pillow. It's his only damage ability as well, so if you focus on just a few damage items, you can play Rem very cheaply. Next ability is Tag Along. You can jump on an ally, nap aside them, and you can heal their health in a burst, and they get a bit of regeneration the longer that you're next to them. It also heals you as well, and you can press 2 or recast it to jump to other targets and increase the amount of health that you get as well. Third ability is Lil Helpers. Basically, these little gremlins that you launch out can go shop for you, go hit boxes, go do sinner sacrifices. You can also put them on a trooper to increase the amount of troopers' spirit resist, movement speed, and damage resist in general, actually. It also heals them as well, so put this on one of the troopers, it can basically push a wave for you and win. And his ultimate is Nap Time. Basically, kind of like the Lash ult, you need to channel it and focus on people in front of you, and that at the end of the duration, they're all slowed and sleeped, so they can't dash, use abilities, shoot, do anything. They can just walk around slowly, and then when you hit them, of course, it will wake them up from the sleep. And when the channel ends, they also get a ton of damage. Next character is 7. First ability is Lightning Ball. You shoot a lightning ball in front of you that travels in a straight line, has a pretty big radius, and does damage to any enemies that walk through it. It also stops if it hits any part of the world, but slows down when anybody walks through it. Second ability is Static Charge. Basically, you apply a charge to an enemy, and after a short time, it stuns them and damages them and anybody within the radius. Third ability is Power Surge. Basically makes your weapon do shock damage that jumps from target to target. His ultimate is very overpowered and fun. It is Storm Cloud. Basically, you become a giant storm cloud in a humongous radius. You do a ton of damage per second, and if anybody doesn't get inside, they will take ridiculous damage. You can also do a lightning strike in a targeted area that will strike enemies away with a lightning bolt, and you can only use it once per cast. So it's basically if anybody gets close to you. Next character is Shiv. His first ability is Serrated Knives. You throw a knife that deals bleed to the enemy. You can also stack it to cause a ton of bleed damage. Very overpowered. It also slows down the enemy a significant amount. But also, if your ultimate is unlocked and your rage is full, this is another mechanic he has, I'll explain in a second, the knives will bounce from enemy to enemy. Next ability is Slice and Dice. You dash forward and damage enemies along a path. Enemies also have their spirit resist reduced, and the debuff can stack if you hit them again. And also, at your ultimate unlock, if your rage is full, an Echo Shiv retraces the path again after a short delay, damaging the enemies again. Third ability is Bloodletting. This one's a little bit more complicated than most of the abilities in the game. Basically, you take any damage that you're taking now and activate it to basically take the damage later. Also, when your ultimate is unlocked and rage is full, the amount of damage taken later or deferred is increased. His ult, Killing Blow. His active, you leap forward dealing spirit damage, and if the enemy is below a certain threshold of health, it's 20% default, they will die instantly. His passive is Rage. Damaging any enemy fills you with rage, and while at full rage, you gain all the special properties that I listed earlier. Next character is Silver. First ability is Slam Fire. You instantly reload your gun and can shoot 3 times instantaneously. You also do damage based on their current health. 2.5% of it is how much you do. Next ability is Boot Kick. You dash forward and do melee damage, and you also mark the target. You shoot them, it's a spirit market, activates it and does more damage. Next ability is Entangling Bola. You throw a bola that does spirit damage and slow, and prevents use of stamina or abilities. Very nice. And her ult is Lichen Curse. She basically just turns into a werewolf and beats the crap out of people. Very good. This is a different ult than most in the game. You can't activate it on your own. Anytime you deal damage, you generate Bloodlust, and at full Bloodlust, you turn into a werewolf. So you gotta time how much damage you're doing with like team fights, or when you know you can actually finish an enemy off. So if you're doing like chip damage and stuff, it's not a good time to keep damaging them, or you'll activate your ult too far away and then you won't be able to catch up. But it's a pretty short cooldown too, so it's a pretty forgiving ult. It's only about 70 seconds. Next character is Sinclair. His first ability is Vexing Bolt. You launch a bolt, and the further it travels, the more damage it does. you can also redirect the bolt. So you can shoot it up into the sky, let it linger for a bit, and then redirect it onto an enemy to do a ton of max damage. Next ability is Spectral Assistant. You summon an assistant at the targeted location, wherever you're looking, and the assistant attacks whenever you attack. You can also press 2 to swap out with the assistant. Really good for getting out of a tricky situation. Third ability is Rabbit Hex. Think of Godify from Garden Warfare 2. Basically, an area is targeted and anybody in it turns into a rabbit. The rabbits are small and move a bit faster, but they take increased damage and they can't do anything. They can't sprint, shoot, use abilities. Really good. Then the fourth ability, the ultimate, is audience participation. Basically, you can copy anybody else's ultimate, and then it also copies the cooldown as well. And when you upgrade it, it also upgrades the stats of that ultimate that you copied automatically. And you can copy anybody's ultimate, by the way. Any enemy ultimate. Next character is Venator. First ability is Consecrating a Grenade. You fire a grenade that bounces and deals weapon damage and sets enemies on fire. The burning targets also take pure damage, so it bypasses any resistance, and get reduced healing. Second ability is Gut Shot. You fire a shotgun blast that does weapon damage, and if they are near a wall and actually hit that wall, they get stunned and take bonus weapon damage. Third ability is Hex-Lined Snap Trap. Basically a stun trap, like a bear trap, that does an immobilization for around the same amount of time as Page's ult, 1.25 seconds, and deals a big burst of damage. The traps last for around 30 seconds. His ultimate is Ira Domini. It's a crossbow with 3 stakes that does massive weapon damage, and the final stake is Blessed and does pure damage and executes low health enemies within 8% of their health. Next character is Victor. Think Frankenstein's monster, basically. His first ability is Pain Battery. Any damage you take is charged into the Pain Battery, and once it activates, you can use it, and it does a ton of spirit damage and can hit multiple people if they're in the radius. His second ability is Jumpstart. Basically, you deal spirit damage to yourself, but you gain regeneration and bonus move speed. You get more regen than the damage you do to yourself, though. So it's actually worth using. His third ability is Aura of Suffering. Any enemies around you take spirit damage over time, but you also damage yourself, and the damage continues to increase the longer the ability is channeled, up to a maximum amount. So you want to leave this on. And his fourth ability is the second ult in the game that is a passive ult, meaning that you can't activate it on your own. I mean, I guess you can, but I'll explain that in a second. When you die, you come back to life, but anybody around you in a big radius takes a slow. When you regenerate 50% of your health, you do a big burst of damage. So really good in team fights when people can't really get away. Next character is Vindicta. She's a sniper. Her first ability is Stake. You throw a stake on the ground that tethers enemies to one location, making them easier targets, and their movement is restricted to the length of the tether. Second ability is Flight. You leap into the air and fly, and you deal bonus weapon and spirit damage. Actually, your weapon deals bonus spirit damage, my mistake. And your items also have increased range. Third ability is Crow Familiar. You launch out a crow that deals impact damage, applies a bleed, and reduces their bullet resist. And the damage is also based off of the current target's health. Her fourth ability is Assassinate. She gets a scoped rifle that does bonus damage to people less than 50% of their health. Also, landing a kill on any player with Assassinate gives you bonus weapon damage, up to 6% more per stack. Next character is Viscous, or Goo Boy. First ability is Splatter. It's a bouncy goo ball that does a movement slow and deals a big burst of damage. The more you upgrade it, the more it bounces. There's also goo puddles that linger on the ground after it hits a spot, and enemies will be slowed if they walk on them. His second ability is the Cube. You basically can encase your allies or yourself in a cube that makes you immune to all damage, gives you rapid health regen, but you also can't do any actions or shoot or use abilities or move while in the cube, so it balances it out. You can also press space to escape early. Really good for protecting people from big damage. Third ability is Puddle Punch. Basically makes a giant goo fist pretty far away from you. It has pretty good range. That does melee damage, but it can also be parried. You can also use it to launch yourself or your allies up, if you do it under you. Fourth ability, his ultimate, is Goo Ball. You turn into a large goo ball, and you can stun enemies on impact, and the ball also grants you a bunch of bullet and spirit resistance, so you take way less damage. You can also bounce off of walls and double jump, and jump on top of people to stun them. Next character is Viper. Her first ability is Screwjab Dagger. You throw a dagger that does spirit damage, and every subsequent dagger, everyone after that, it also stacks the spirit damage. So the more you hit, the more damage they're going to do, and the more they're going to slow your enemy. The second ability is Lethal Venom. You inject a target with Lethal Venom, and after a delay, the Venom triggers, does spirit damage, and the damage is increased less health that the target has. The third ability is Slither. Basically, the more you upgrade this, the further you can slide, and the more stamina you get. You can also slide up hills and turn faster while sliding. Fourth ability is Petrifying Bola. This one actually just explains itself. You throw a bola out that does damage and petrifies somebody. They can not take any damage, but they also can't perform any actions whatsoever. So kind of a good way to keep somebody in place that's being a problem during a team fight. Next character is Warden. His first ability is Alchemical Flask. You throw a flask that deals damage in a radius and reduces the weapon damage and move speed of the enemy it hits. Very good for keeping somebody in place. Next ability is Willpower. You basically give yourself a barrier and bonus move speed for a temporary amount of time. Third ability is Binding Ward. This one is really good for keeping somebody in place. You make a big arena area that the enemy can see, and if they don't escape in time, they will take damage and be completely immobilized for 1.75 seconds. And his fourth ability, his ultimate, is Last Stand. After charging for around 2 seconds, so you stand still. You gotta time this one really well. You release pulses of damage in front of you, and every time you hit somebody with that DPS, you also get 75% of the damage you've done back. And you get a ton of bullet and spirit resist. Next character is Wraith. Her first ability is Card Trick. You summon cards of a random suit, and if they match, I believe they do more damage, and jokers count as all suits, so they do a ton of damage. This one's another complicated ability as well. You can also alt cast to throw only your first card instead of your second card. Project Mind is their next ability. You just teleport to a targeted location. Probably one of the simplest abilities in the game. Description-wise, next ability is Full Auto. You temporarily boost your fire rate and deal bonus spirit damage. And her ultimate is Telekinesis. You lift an enemy hero into the air and then slam them towards a target location and deal a ton of spirit damage and stun them. It also applies a slow and prevents stamina and movement-based items and abilities. And the final character, for now, there's going to be more eventually, but they're not out yet, is Yamato. Her first ability is Power Slash. You charge a sword strike for around 1.5 seconds, and then you press 1 to trigger the strike early, or at the end it'll just come out on its own and it does a big burst of damage in front of you for a decent range. Next ability is Flying Slash. You throw a grappling hook and reel yourself towards the enemy, doing light melee damage and slowing the target when you get to them. If you max it out, you can grapple towards your allies. Good escape tool. Third ability is Crimson Slash. You slash and do a big AoE spirit damage and heal a bit. And her ultimate, her final ability is Shadow Transformation. You become totally invincible after charging for around 1.5 seconds, and your abilities are refreshed 60% faster. You gain immunity to negative status effects, and you have tons of bullet and spirit resist. And when you get a kill, you heal, and the duration is extended. It lasts for 5 seconds by default, and you also get 60% more move speed, and it's 15% of your max health on kill. So this is a good snowballing ability to just take out a bunch of people, especially low health targets. And that is all the characters. This took like 45 minutes worth of yapping, and the video's not even like halfway done yet, and I haven't edited any of this. Oh my gosh, this is... Why did I decide to do this again? Anyway, that is going to be all for this video. Let me get into some closing notes and an outro. Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video. That's all I have for you guys today. This video took a long time, like 2 months, and it probably shouldn't have taken that long, but I have been very creatively bankrupt lately when it comes to YouTube, and I've been having a lot of trouble actually just getting in front of the computer and making content. But hopefully, now that this video is done, I can focus on some more fun projects. I'm bringing back the Minecraft Liminal Spaces series. Those 2 videos that I did on it did really well, so you guys obviously enjoy that one. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's been a while since I've done it, so I think I'm kind of ready to get back into other games again. And I also am going to be doing a Plants vs. Zombies Heroes video, the card game that everybody forgot about that came out alongside Garden Warfare 2 in 2016. Been playing that game a lot again lately and really getting into it. So I'm like, what better video to do than a video about that and my love for the game and kind of going over it. I'm trying to revive it a little bit more and bring it out into the zeitgeist so people can see how good of a game it is. Yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Do leave a like, and if you want to see me go over Deadlock items, I don't know, get the video to 50 likes. If you get the video to 50 likes, I'll go over the Deadlock items. I didn't do it in this video because kind of wasn't something I wanted to do. I just didn't want to do it. That's really it. I really just didn't want to go over all the items. It's a tall order. And I did see that there is now a ranked update. So there's a standard mode and a ranked mode in Deadlock now. It's kind of making me want to play a bit more again. If you don't know, I kind of quit Deadlock a week ago. You wouldn't know that. I took a break. I didn't quit. I was just waiting for the next update because the game was kind of frustrating me with how overly competitive it was. And this game is overly competitive. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.